105.1 The GOAT and NewRadioSportsNetwork.com. Tim Cole's joining us. We get ready for Gibraltar basketball on the New Radio Sports Network and 105.1 The GOAT as the Gibraltar boys basketball team open up the Division V playoffs against Suring. And, Coach, obviously, you've been on a nice little run here heading into the playoffs. And how do you feel about your team heading into the playoffs? Do you feel like they're peaking at the right time?
Yeah, definitely. We've been playing good basketball. I feel really good about our conditioning. I feel like we've been taking our film study more seriously, and I feel like the guys are just ready to make a long run.
And what was maybe the moment where you feel like during the course of the season where your team just kind of clicked it to that next gear that got you, and your team for that matter, a little bit more confident?
We thought kind of the message was that when players really take successful, and we have to hold each other accountable. Not only can coaches hold players accountable, but you have to hold each other accountable as teammates. And right around the time where we started putting some games together, the players had pulled a all players meeting together. They talked about things that they needed to do. They brought the coaches in. We had a good meeting, and after that, we went on a pretty good run. So whatever was said in that locker room between the guys, that was their personal time, and it must have worked because a lot of that, like I said, the coaches didn't even hear half the conversation. So that was kind of the turning point for us.
That was your 17-minute rain delay, if you will, to borrow from another sports team. One of your big performers from that game against Algoma was actually Trevor Ash, 24 points. And obviously I know when we went into that game, you said that there was a size advantage that you want to take advantage of with Will Friedenfels into the mix as well. But even were you kind of shocked that Trevor Ash had a game like that?
He was more physical in that game than I've ever seen him before. He was aggressive to the rim. He was bodying up guys, getting position, and just getting easy twos. And obviously when you're shooting from that distance, he's shooting a high percentage. So basically it felt like anytime we got the ball into him, it was a score. And I remember him actually coming up and over to the bench. At one point I sat him down. He looked up. He said, oh my gosh, I had 22 points. So even he was just how easy it seemed for him to score that night. It was, even the surprise to him. Unfortunately, tonight we won't have him. He's not feeling the best, and he's staying home just as a precaution. But hopefully he's going to be, I think he's already feeling better, but with some of the school protocols, he's not able to make it tonight.
And who will you be leaning on against the Suring team? It's a team that we saw a few years ago, actually, in the playoffs as well. If you had a chance to take a look at film, and how do they look?
Yeah, they are actually very similar to an Algoma squad. I don't think that they have quite the scoring threat that you'd see with Zimmerman. But we will have them on size. We will have them on speed. I think that we're, as far as matchups goes, a more athletic ball club, a little more well-rounded. But they do some nice things. They have a couple of guys who can put the ball in the hoop. I've been seeing them run a 1-3-1. That's what they ran. I had some basketball film. Thanks to those guys for sending it over, and got a nice look at how they run their 1-3-1, and they do trap out of it. So the guys we were able to make some clips and show them some keys to look for. But I think really the transition basketball tonight will be our friend, and as long as we can play solid on the defensive end, and I think that this should be a pretty fun night for all the Viking fans.
And I know it could be easy sometimes to kind of look ahead when it comes to opponents like this. How do you kind of approach these games with your roster to kind of make sure that they play with the right kind of emotion?
We'll go through everything tonight, just as it's starting lineup. Guys are going to get their minutes. If we get a nice lead, I can start to rotate some guys in and get a rest. But you got to keep everybody fresh and hungry. And then really we have 2 days to plan. After tonight, hoping that we get through this game, then you start looking at end of game situations. You start focusing on, things that, assuming the games are going to be closer and you're not going to have as much practice time. So you're kind of preparing for 2 games, on Wednesday and Thursday, knowing that Friday, Saturday is back to back.
And obviously Sam Lindenberg's been a star for you. You mentioned that there's going to be some players that might get a little additional playing time potentially just because of, if scores go your way and work on those end-of-game situations. Who are those players that you hope to get a good look at, just because you want to make sure that you have those people kind of willing and able and ready to go if they're called on, not just tonight, but hopefully for a long run here in the playoffs?
Yeah, sometimes I like to get some of the younger guys in, some of the sophomores and juniors, and obviously there are sophomores and freshmen, and I think that one of the nice things in the playoffs about bringing younger players into the game at times is that sometimes it doesn't seem as stressful to them just because it just seems fun. I feel like the older you are, the juniors and seniors tend to realize the situation and the impact a loss could have on the end of their season in the program, whereas a freshman coming in is pretty, goes in there, plays defense, isn't afraid to shoot the ball, and you've seen it over and over with tournament play. You bring in somebody just looking for a spark, and all of a sudden they put 7 points in, and it just kind of rejuvenates everybody. So at tournament time, I look to kind of take those pieces of the puzzle and stick them in here and there and see if they can make a quick impact. And at the same time, relying on all the guys that have been faithful all along and have been giving you good minutes and rewarding them for their hard work all season.
Fill in the blank time, Coach. Gibraltar beats Suring tonight if your team is able to do what?
If we can simply limit our turnovers and if we can run our fast breaks successfully, I think that it'll be a pretty high-scoring game, and I don't think that they'll have enough firepower to keep up with us.
All right, Gibraltar and Suring on 105.1 The GOAT and NewRadioSportsNetwork.com. Coach, good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you soon, Tim. Thank you.
And you're listening to the New Radio Sports Network.